LTC webinar series. My name is Brian Bates. I'm the Director of Professional Learning with the Learning Technology Center. Today we have a couple individuals from CodeHS to talk a little bit about the curriculum resources there. Before we get started and before I introduce them, just a couple quick reminders. First, we are recording the webinar. It will be available on our website, ltcillinois.org/events/webinars. Scroll on down to the bottom in the on-demand section. You can find the recording later on this afternoon after the conclusion of this webinar. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I know there'll also be throwing in a parking lot document into the chat in a little bit, so you can use that as well. But please make sure you throw them in the chat and also select all participants or everyone in the chat so that everybody gets to see the questions that are coming in. That's always very helpful. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and turn it over to our presenters today. Today I'm joined by Leah Sloan. She's the Director of Professional Development, and Lori Goldade, who is the Professional Development Specialist for CodeHS. So ladies, whenever you're ready, feel free to take over the screen and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. And let me get the screen going here. It's really nice to see some people here with us today. This is Ignite Your Classroom with free curriculum and teacher tools from CodeHS. Pretty much everything we're going to show you today is totally free. Our curriculum is free. How you can customize it, completely free. So we want to introduce you to CodeHS if you're not familiar with it. We do have a Start Here document that we will, Lori will probably toss into the chat. And that has all of the links that we'll be using today. So if you get behind while I'm presenting or you want to know where an additional resources, she has tossed that into the chat area. You can access the slides there as well. All right, again, my name is Leah. I am the Director of Professional Development here at CodeHS, and I was a computer science teacher for, I think, 7 or 8 years at the high school level and taught everything from intro to computer science with like HTML and JavaScript all the way through APCSA. And then I found my way to CodeHS. Wish I would have had it as a teacher. It's an amazing platform and tool as we hope you'll be able to get a glimpse of today. And I also have with me Lori, and I'll let her do a quick intro.
Here at CodeHS. Prior to working here, I was also in the classroom for a long time, for 20 years. I was a district technology coordinator and a computer science teacher for about 10 years teaching and 20 years as the tech co. And so I've done quite a bit in the classroom and love CodeHS. I'd be here with you today.
All right, thank you, Lori. And just so you know where we're located, I'm actually in Illinois, so I'm familiar with what's going on with Illinois in terms of computer science standards. Lori is in South Dakota, and she keeps a pulse on what's going on in all the states as well. All right, so this is just for meetings. We do have a parking lot document. So if you get a question during the presentation that you have, you can put that in the parking lot dot. You can also throw it into the chat area, but we like to also kind of collect these questions. Sometimes someone will ask us something that we don't have an answer for right away, but we want to be able to get back to you. So go ahead and put the questions in that document. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to look at the CodeHS courses and pathways. We'll look at the middle school courses, high school courses, and then what's new for the 2021-22 school year. We'll also look at teacher tools and resources, how you can do feedback and grading, how you can use our real-time collaboration tools, and then also we'll point to some teacher resources that can be really helpful. And then we'll have a little bit of time probably at the end for some questions. Just so you know, this will be kind of fast-paced and it's very high level. So we're not going to do a deep dive into any one particular thing. If you do have questions on things, throw those into the parking lot document, and we'll be able to get back to you on those. But we'll go ahead and dive in. So if you don't have a CodeHS account, here's how you can sign up to get one. And let me give you just a quick overview of what CodeHS is. It stands for Code High School, though we also have middle school courses, and we're looking to branch out a little bit into maybe some K-5 at some point down the road. But we are a comprehensive platform. So we have everything out of the box. courses that are already built. You can customize all of our courses. We have grading tools, ways to give student feedback in code editors, all kinds of really good things. So if you sign up for an account, though, this is a great way to play around and look into courses and see what kinds of things that you like. And you can absolutely do an awful lot as a free teacher. Lori was a free teacher the entire time she taught with CodeHS, so she can speak to how great of a platform it is. The Pro Tools are really nice, but you can totally teach on CodeHS for free. We also have a little demo account set up for you. So this is a great way to jump into a course. And it's, she's going to toss that, she's already done it, she's so fast. The link for the demo account, once you sign up for the CodeHS account, you can take that link, paste it into a new browser, and then open up that section. And then the course ID is that last 5 alphanumeric, in this case, it's all letters, but BAABC. And this is exactly how your students can join a course as well. So it's a really good practice if you decide to use some of our course materials. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions about getting an account, getting into the demo section, or just about CodeHS in general? All right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. So we have, I think, about 60 or so main courses, and then we also have a lot of courses that we build custom for different states and school districts and things like that. But these, what I'm projecting right now are the main pathways that we have. So these are the primary courses at CodeHS. You can start with Carol the dog, which is in JavaScript, and Tracy the turtle, which is in Python. We'll get into that in a second. And then Introduction to the Internet, World of Computing. We also have a cybersecurity course for middle school students, web design, computing ideas, creative computing. And then when they get to the high school level, we have Intro to JavaScript or Python, web design, we have cybersecurity, and then both AP courses, so AP Computer Science Principles, and then also Mobile Apps course. But this is just a high level view. We have a lot more than this, and you can also customize courses. So let's do a little bit of a deep dive into each one of those courses, and I'll talk about specific things that you might be curious about in terms of what you can use with your students. So the very first course is a middle school course. It's Intro to Programming with Carol the dog. This is written in JavaScript, and it's a 1/4 course. And students, as you can see from the little animated jiffy there, they can toggle between blocks and text. And you can also toggle that off and on for your students. So if you decide that you don't want them to use blocks, or you want to make sure they use blocks, you can absolutely do that. Another middle school course is Introduction to Python with Tracy the turtle. And this is another 1/4 course, and it uses Python, and Tracy you can make Tracy do a lot of really cool things, just like you can with Carol the dog in the companion JavaScript course. We also have a web design course that has HTML and CSS. This can be a semester or full year course, and this one can also be done in blocks or text-based coding. And we have an Introduction to Cybersecurity. This has digital literacy and cyber hygiene. It's a 1-semester course, and it's one that I especially like to promote because I feel like if students get no other computer science, aside from some basic coding, I think it's critical that every student have some digital literacy and cyber hygiene skills in their wheelhouse so that they know how to navigate the internet, because they often do not. So there are a lot of really good practical things in this course. We also have World of Computing. So this is a combination of several modules that are more introductory, and it starts out with Programming with Carol. What is computing? That gets more into hardware, software, networking, and those kinds of things. And that is a 1-semester course. And we have Introduction to the Internet. That has HTML, CSS, some digital information. What is the internet? And that is also a 1-semester course. And as you can see in the animated jiffies, these are like sample programs that we have. Every single course has a ton of coding examples. In fact, you might not get through everything. You can cull away any examples that you don't want. and customize your course, or just take specific ones that you would like to use with students. We also have a physical computing course at the middle school level in microbit. So students are able to use a physical device for physical computing. And then we start to move into the middle school, high school level. Computing Ideas is a nice survey course for computer science topics. So it has web design and Carol the dog. This is a full year course. It's a nice transition before they actually get into like a hardcore programming course. Creative computing is very similar to that course, except it's more project focused. Not to say that there aren't projects in the Computing Ideas course, there definitely are, but in creative computing, it's more of a project-based course. And this can be either a semester or a full year. Then we get to the high school courses, and this is where students can start out with Intro to Computer Science in JavaScript. And what you're seeing right here is the classic breakout game. This is the final project in the course. This can be a semester or a full year course, depending on how you want it to work for your class and your students. We have a companion course that's Intro to Computer Science in Python 3. So this can be semester or full year. And you can really do the JavaScript one or the Python one in either order. And as Illinois is adopting standards, and you might be teaching computer science, there will probably be opportunities for you to look at pathways and what makes sense. And it might make sense to start with like an intro to JavaScript and then go to Python and then computer science principles and APCSA. So that's kind of a typical pathway, but there's a lot of wiggle room in how you do the courses in those pathways as well. We have an introduction to web design, and this has HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap, and it can be a semester or full year course. And then we have 2 cybersecurity courses, actually 3. One kind of broke off and became a slightly different course. We have an introduction to cyber, fundamentals of cybersecurity, and then an advanced cyber course. And these can be either semester or full year courses as well. We have an intro to virtual reality course, some really cool animations in this course and ways that students can use VR. They use the A-frame library in this course, and it's about 4 to 6 weeks long, but you could also just pull out portions of it and not use the entire course as well. We've got a mobile apps course, and this is using React Native. This is a little more advanced. This is something students might take like after APCSA, and we have some new courses that are coming online this year that are more advanced as well. We have a physical computing course at the high school level as well, and this one is in Arduino. So that students get to apply programming concepts using that Arduino device. And then we have 2 versions of AP Computer Science Principles. We have a JavaScript and a Python version. Both are AP College Board endorsed. They include everything that you would use to create the performance task. And we also have a review course for the end of year multiple choice questions, but it's chock full with more stuff than you could probably ever do in a course. You can kind of pick and choose and still also meet the College Board standards. And then the last course we have in sort of the main pathway is AP Computer Science A. This one's completely in Java, and it also has a review course with end of year multiple choice and free response questions. If that wasn't enough, we have interdisciplinary modules. So maybe you want to do a little bit of computer science, but you're not ready to go all in and you just want something short and sweet. We have some for music, art, and sports. So these are like 1 day, 2 day, maybe a week, depending on what parts of it you want to do. And we also have some science ones on exploring collisions, bouncing ball simulation, and a Punnett square generator. And more of those are being developed as well. If you just want to dip your toe into computer science with your students, we recommend an hour of code, and we have lots of those as well. So we have a lot of courses. I'm going to pause for a second. There's a lot of different ways you can create different pathways with those courses. You can also, and we're not going to do this today, but you can customize every single course. You can take our course. and use it, take out certain modules, bring in modules from other courses. You can add your own completely customized content completely for free. But I want to pause and see if anybody has any questions about the main courses or the course catalog. All right, so what's new for this coming school year? Well, we have really branched out as a company. So we started in 2012 and with Intro to JavaScript, built a lot of courses, but now we're getting into some pretty more technical and some timely kinds of topics, which I think some of you might find really interesting. So the first new course for this year is going to be Intro to Artificial Intelligence. This is a high school course. So students are going to learn the implications of AI on society, and they develop different projects and that show the different ways that AI can be used to optimize and predict information. It is a high school course. It's a semester-long course. And the ideal prerequisite for this is probably Intro to Python 3, since the AI course is written completely in Python. Another one that's probably the one a lot of teachers are really, really excited about is game design in Unity. So students will utilize like modeling, storytelling, programming, and user interfaces to process and make their own games. This is a high school course. It is a year long. Technically, there's no prerequisite to it, but like any course, you'd probably want to take a look at it to see if there's things that your students might need before they actually jump in. And we have syllabi that go with all of our courses, and we can make recommendations based on where your students are coming from and where you want them to go as to which course might make sense. We have a data science course coming out as well. This is also a high school course. It'll be semester long. The prerequisite is some kind of intro to computer science, though I would recommend Python because the data science course is also completely in Python. We are going to have a data structures in C++. This is a pretty advanced course and one that probably would fit best after like an APCSA. It's a high school course. It's a full year course, and they're using data structures, so maps, queues, and sets, while they're looking at like some real world assignments and projects. All of these new courses will be coming out sometime this summer. Usually around mid-July is when the final versions are released. We're going to also have two, we've never done international baccalaureate courses, but we're going to have two of those. One is the IB Computer Science Standard level, and the other one is the higher level. Both are high school courses. Each one is a year-long course. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about the international baccalaureate courses, but we are going to make those an offering. It seems like it has been a requested course. And then we're going to have coding and math and coding and science. So all those units I talked about earlier that were smaller units where you could do little chunks of like Punnett square or collisions and things like that, we're going to have a lot more of those units. So maybe you're not teaching computer science and you want to bring it into your math course or your science course, you could do a day of some kind of programming. And all of the math and science units are completely aligned to the NG Next Gen Science Standards and then the Common Core Math Standards. All right, so Lori tossed the link for the course catalog in there. It's completely searchable. You can put in for middle school, high school, by your state, though Illinois doesn't have any just yet. Be on the lookout for those. They should probably be coming, and any other topic that you wanna search by. All right, any questions about any of our course offerings? All right, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Laura, and she's going to take you through like a high-level view of our tools and resources.
All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us ready. Okay. Bear with me one second while I move some windows back to where I can see them. Okay. So I'm going to be talking to you about the some of the tools and resources that you can see. And again, like Leah said, this is going to be pretty fast and furious today. But if you've got questions about anything, don't hesitate to toss those into chat or into the Q&A. And then also in that question parking lot as well, we will make sure we get back to you on any of those. Now, as I get prepared to jump into this, what I will mention too is that, and I'll just mention again that I was a CodeHS teacher for many years when I was still in the K-12 realm. And I think I started with CodeHS about 2014. So very early on, because I think we got a start in 2012. And from 2014 through about 2019, I actually used the free version of CodeHS to teach all of my courses, including a university course to grad students, and offering about 4 to 5 classes a semester to students in a very blended or online format. And I did all of that on the free plan. And so you can absolutely use free to bring a lot. The pro bells and whistles are awesome, but free can get this done too. So we're going to jump into this and start taking a look at the resources here. And just because it's looking like I'm a little bit laggy, I'm going to go ahead and shut my video off. You don't really need to see me for this. You'll be focusing on the course. There we go. And hopefully that helps a little bit. All right, so I'm actually going to take us out of the slide deck, and we're going to be demoing quite a bit of things in the course itself. Now, throughout the course, or the remainder of our webinar, we're going to take a look at some feedback and grading that you'll have access to, including those syllabi that Leah was talking about. And I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the real-time collaboration tool, which is one of our favorite new tools here at CodeHS. And that is available to you on the free plan. So I'm going to take us out to CodeHS. Now, if you're not familiar with the platform, when you first sign up for an educator account, you'll actually get into something that looks something like this. Now, if you've never created sections, you won't have any sections here. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because you will be able, even on this, and to create sections. So you can manage all of your students directly from this platform. And in fact, if you joined the demo account, you're going to see that here at the top of my list. And that's the course you'll be in here. So I'm going to take us into, let's see, I'm going to take us into a demo section. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to have some students. So we have a little bit of data to see as we jump into this. So I'm in my demo section, and this is what I see when I go into one of my sections. I see all of my students here on what we're calling the roster page. Might be a little bit tough to see, but it's right up here at the top. And I can browse between different views here. So right now I'm seeing my roster, and here's all of my kiddos in my class. So when I take a look at this, I can do a couple of things from this page. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what you can do here. I mentioned you can do some feedback. Well, you can give some announcements to your classes. So I can see that on the roster page, and I can click on announcements and send an announcement to my students. So this is a huge time saver. No matter how you're meeting with your students, if you're virtual, blended, if you're meeting face-to-face, you can still send those announcements in this area. You can also communicate with students individually as well. Now, on the free plan, this is going to look just a little bit different. You're not going to have that progress bar, but you can still talk to your students by finding them in the roster and then clicking on conversation. And I can have a chat with Isabella directly in the platform. So I don't actually have to leave the platform to talk to my students. Get back to my roster page. All right, so that's a couple of the features that you can use on this roster page. Now I'm going to go back up to this top toolbar, zoom in just a little bit, and I'm going to take us into the review section. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So what happens when I get here, and I'm going to make this just a little bigger so we're only focusing on this area. There's a couple of things I can see here. Now I will point out that on these two halves, the bottom half is where I can do some grading. The grade mode is going to be the version that's available on the free plan. Fast Grade is a pro feature, but I can tell you while it's great, you can absolutely get everything done with that grade mode as well. What I want to focus on first is this top section. So this is the help mode area. And this is where I can view questions that students might have asked me. Now, students are asking me these questions directly in the platform. I'm going to show you where that's at. I can see the queue, all the students who've asked me questions, and I'm going to click on help mode. We'll go ahead and let that go to the next section. So what that does is it actually takes me directly to the student that has a question. And not only that, but it takes me to the exercise that that student has a question on. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, where did that student ask me the question at? Well, if I take a look, move over to the right-hand side of my screen, you'll see that I have a few different tabs here. I'm in the code currently. Student enters their code, they can run it here. There's a few other tabs, but the one I'm interested in right now is more. When I click on more, I see a conversation tab, and students will see this as well. When a student clicks conversation, they're now taken to a message box where they can enter a question to their teacher. I'm going to be able to get that question, and I'll be able to respond here as well. So before I answer Dirk's question, and I would probably encourage my students to give a little more detail than that, I can come back to run code, and I can actually run the student. I can speed it up, I can check it, and I see that, wow, he's doing pretty well, so maybe he doesn't have a question anymore. But if something isn't working right, maybe he needs to add some comments. Maybe he needs to try something else. If he is having a problem, I can actually come in here and add code. Now it won't stay here, but that's available for me to actually test his program to see if that works. Once I've tested this and I figured out how I can help him, I can go back to more conversation, and I can tell him your program looks good. Oops, looks good. Are you still having a question? Now, when I send that to Dirk, he's going to get that and be able to respond to me here. Now, what's going to happen, because I clicked on the help mode, notice what it did. As soon as I sent Dirk a message, it took me to the next student. So now I'm at Sophia's question. And so it just takes me through that queue and allows me to look at every single conversation or every single question that a student asked me. And I can just quickly move through that queue that way. I don't have to dig for all of that information. So when I answer Sophia, I'll tell her to take a look at the slides again, and it would take me to the next student. So a really nice way to get through this. And actually, I'll just go ahead and take you all the way through. We'll see where it goes. And of course, I would spend a little bit more time on these as their teacher. I think I only had 4 in here. I'll try it once more. My poor demo students, just not getting good feedback from Ms. G today. There we go. And I think that's going to take you back out to the section. And it zips me back out. So I'm just going to click back on my demo section. But now I know that I've answered all of those student questions. And again, to get to that, whoops, a little too far in, I clicked on review. There's a few other places that I can get to that. I can also get to that over on the left-hand side as well. So that's where you can quickly answer feedback for students. Now, grade mode might be a place where if you've got a few items that are not going to be auto-graded, you might be able to come in here to grade these. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and click on grade mode so we can see how to grade what. So again, this is going to take me into the student's account. So when you're on the free plan, the free CodeHS plan, we don't really have the ability to set things so that they would be graded by me instead of by the auto grader. However, that doesn't mean you can't come in to grade students' work. So you can still grade students' work by coming to the grade tab. So again, I'm up in this right-hand corner. I'm right next to the More tab. I should say I'm to the left of the More tab. When I click on grade, what you'll see here is I can actually give the students feedback back here as well. I can grade. I can decide to give them a 0. Maybe they didn't do something here or it's past the due date. I can choose what score I want to give them. I can finalize it, or I can tell them it needs work. So again, I can run this code. I can play with this code. I can check the code. I can do a lot of things with it before I give them this feedback. And we're going to say that Emma needs, maybe she needs some comments. Please leave some comments in your code. And then I'm going to tell her that it needs some work. So when I mark that it needs work, it's actually going to make her pink. And she's going to be able to see that easily and see, oh, okay, Ms. G saw that and marked that, and I need to take another look at it again. So those color codes are going to become very important, and you'll get very used to seeing those and knowing what those mean. Now, since I'm in help mode, it just takes me to the next student. But I can also do this from the sections as well. Let's see if I can jump back to the section, to the roster, and I can easily click on those students too. And then to go to the demo section, bear with me for 1 second, everybody. I do see I have a couple people in the demo course, so I'm thrilled to see that. So I can click into any of these students and view what they're working on at any time, whether they've submitted or not. So keep that in mind too. Now there is a gradebook feature that is not available on the free plan. But I can tell you from somebody who's taught with the free CodeHS for her entire teaching life, or at least for the last few years of her teaching life, this would have been great to have, but I could certainly make this work with just simply grading like I just showed you the grades in my gradebook. And so that part is on the pro plan, but again, you don't need to have that in order to use the CodeHS platform. Okay, so I want to show you a couple of other things here. I would be remiss if I didn't show you some of the amazing resources that are available in the CodeHS platform. So even on the free plan, you still have access to a lot of things. One of the things I often get a question about is, do we get solutions on the free plan? Yes, yes, you absolutely do. I've heard some teachers say, nope, you don't get solutions. You do. I would have, coming from myself, a former English teacher from what feels like a lifetime ago, I definitely needed those solutions when I first started, and you can access them here. So to get to those again, I came over to the left-hand side, I clicked on resources, and I get this awesome page with a lot of blue tiles. I scroll down and I can see solution references here. So when I click into this, right now it's taking me into the Intro to Computer Science and JavaScript course. And I can scroll through here and I can get to the solutions for exercises. I'll just go ahead and pick one. We'll pick lots of hurdles. And I can see the solution here. Now you can get to, there are solutions in the Pro plan as well. You can always have access to these solution references, whether you're free or Pro. But one of the other resources that's available on Pro is a problem guide that actually still gives you the solution, but does give you a little bit of additional information, like maybe some frequently asked questions or things like that. But never fear, you definitely have the solutions on the free plan. Now I'm going to click on resources again. You can also access the syllabi from this location as well. You can get to the syllabi from here or from the course catalog too. I want to show you what the syllabi looks like. Again, we can scroll through any of the courses. I'll click on Intro to CS and JavaScript, and you can see what the syllabi looks like. So there's some very good pacing information here. I always grabbed the syllabi whenever I started teaching a class and made sure my students had access to it too. And this was definitely one of my go-to docs, but you have access to this on the free plan as well. Now, I do want to show you just a couple other resources that you have some access to on the free plan. Lesson plans are super cool. You don't have access to all of the lesson plans on free, but you do get access to the first few. And those are an amazing resource too. And it's just a nice way to get a feel for what that class structure or that lesson structure might look like. So if I go ahead and open up Intro to Programming with Carol, the very first lesson in CS, see the class objective or the lesson objective, excuse me, the activities that are involved. So it always is going to start with a video. That's how we're going to deliver the content, is with the video as well as some slides. There's a check-in quiz after the video, the example, and some exercises. You can also access some solution references here. If you are a pro teacher, you can access problem guides. You can see vocab used in the lesson. And if there's some offline handouts that are used for, or that can be used for that lesson, you would see those linked. And some other items like teaching and learning strategies, planning notes, prior knowledge that's needed, and discussion questions. I actually love the discussion questions. Whenever I'm even planning a workshop, I come out here and I raid the discussion questions for workshops here too. And you can see some modifications that you can make for advanced students, special ed, and ELL students. So those are just some of the resources that are available. Let's see, before I do show you the really cool real-time collaboration, I want to show you one more thing. I get so excited about the tools. Platform was a game changer for me as a high school teacher. Well, actually, as a high school, middle school, and upper elementary teacher. I actually used it down into 4th grade. So what I did was I clicked on assignments, and I just wanted to show you this briefly. This is another item that you'll see on the teacher page. And although we don't have time to do a demo here, this is one of the areas you can come to actually do some edits to your course. Leah mentioned that you can do some customization. You can absolutely do that with much of your course on the free plan as well. So I wanted to throw that out there. And if you some resources that we can throw your way, or we're happy to answer any of those questions as well. Okay, now I want to show you this last really well, there's so many amazing tools, but this is one of our new favorites, and that is the real-time collaboration tool. So one of the questions we would get a lot is, how do I have my students pair program? This is a game changer for, I think, both virtual classrooms and face-to-face classrooms, blended classrooms, wherever. There is so many possibilities here. So the sandbox in CodeHS is the place where we can go to do some collaboration, have our students collaborate. And to get to that, you can just go to codehs.com/sandbox, or you can click on sandbox in the top left corner, and you're going to see something that looks like this. So here's where I can create a new program. I can actually organize my files, which I clearly have not done here. I can make some folders. I can actually do quite a bit here. So if I created a new program, I can give it a name. This to be I don't know, something with JavaScript. When I click create program, you can see all of the different programs that I can create here. I can create a Python, which happens to be one of my favorites, a Java course, or a JavaScript sandbox exercise here. I can do HTML, there's some C++ possibility, SQL, and then some other items too. Now I did get one started, and I happen to start a Tracy the Turtle. So I'm gonna toss this out here. And what we're gonna see, and what you see so far is just the sandbox. Now, if we take a look at this, you'll see that it looks very much like what we saw in a CodeHS editor. So I've typed some code. I wanted to do something graphic, so I thought we'll use Tracy the Turtle, have Tracy run around and make a few lines. Now, let's say I want some people to help me. I'm going to click on share. So I can share the code, I can share the app, I can embed this, or I can collaborate. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to toss it into chat. And I'm going to invite any of you to join my sandbox. So I'm hoping I see somebody else other than that emoji I have for this account. So go ahead and click on that and it should take you into the sandbox. Now, once you get in there, if you don't know Python, that's totally okay. You can copy and paste mine. You can mess mine up if you like. You can do whatever you like here. And I would love for you to go ahead and jump in and give this a try. Yay! Hi, Leah. Leah joined my sandbox. Okay, so Leah, go ahead and make some changes if you like, whatever you want to do. And you can see, look at that. You can see when she starts working that you can see her exactly what she's doing. Now, this is a fairly new tool. And so this is constantly going through some new updates and changes. And one of the things we notice sometimes is that we get that guest icon to show up instead of our names, but often what you should see there is your students' names. So cool. I love this. So this is one of the coolest features, and we just all think it's just a huge game changer. People have loved seeing this tool since we've rolled this out not long ago. So I can run this, you can run it on your end. You can see a history of what happens here. And that history is constantly being updated as well for how we can view that. Oh, cool. There's where Tracy ended up now. Awesome. Yeah, you can definitely have partners with this. It's just an awesome, awesome way to be able to collaborate. Now, what does happen though, when you are sharing or whoever has created this sandbox, if they close the sandbox, sharing is going to stop. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to close mine, and it should give you a message that, hey, somebody stopped collaborating with you. And it'll ask you if you want to fork that sandbox or fork that code or make a copy of it for yourself. And so at that point you can. So keep in mind that when you're using the sandbox, if you are sharing that sandbox as a teacher, you'll have to keep that open in order for your students to use it. But we have a ton of resources out there to help you with that. And that is a constant work in progress. So we wanted to make sure we shared that with you. All right, so we just went through a ton of stuff and we wanted to make sure we made this available to you. So you've got these resources to go back to in the slide deck. So little information about the lessons or the resources, the feedback, grading and things like that. And of course, the real-time collaboration piece is in here as well. And so you can definitely get some more how-to information here. All right. So Leah, I'm not sure how my audio is doing. If I'm okay, would you like me to keep going or?
It's been a little choppy, but you sound good now.
Okay. I apologize for that. Leah, did you want to take us through the rest of these? And I'll just be quiet if I'm a little choppy.
Yeah, that works fine. First, does anybody have any questions at all about anything we've covered before we point you to some of our additional resources? You can toss those into the chat or the parking lot document. Okay, so we've provided on the slides some really great resources that you can use for looking up other things, other tools that we have, and that's on that first slide there. So those are basically our knowledge base articles that are nice little nuggets of how do you do blank, how do you use CodeHS assignments, how to use the tools and resources, how to use the create tool, that kind of thing. And yeah, those are all in there. We also have a virtual learning guide. There's a link to that in the slide deck. We have free workshops that we run all the time. They're led, some of them are led by us, some are led by our teacher trainers who are current CodeHS educators using the tool in the classroom. We have, let's see, a Facebook group. This is a really powerful resource. If you have a question about anything computer science or related to CodeHS, you can post that question and all kinds of people will help you out. Some people from our company, some teachers who are using the platform, and it's a great place to even debug code if you're stuck on a certain exercise. It's a really supportive group and you get answers very, very quickly. So even if you're not sure about CodeHS, you just want to lurk and peek at things for a while, you could join that Facebook group just to peek around and see what other teachers are doing with it. That might be a good opportunity for just kind of testing the waters. And then we have some other resources that are located below that. So like our teacher forum and so forth. But that's all we have for you today. I know it was a high level view of a lot of different things, but we wanted to make sure you saw all the different things that you can do with the curriculum, all the different variety of courses and how you can customize those courses, and then the tools that you can use right away in your classrooms if you decide to just even test out CodeHS a little bit. If you do nothing else this year or next school year, if you just do 1 hour of code, even just for yourself, just to see the power of computing, and you want to try it out with your students, we have a lot of those resources as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. We do have a little survey. We'd love for you to give us some feedback. We're always looking to improve things, and we love offering these kinds of workshops and so forth. And we do a lot of different variety of workshops, so we'd like to hear your thoughts. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's almost night in Illinois, I guess.
Almost. Well, thank you, Leah and Lori. I appreciate you guys going through and giving us that overview and really kind of actually, I know you say high level, but we did see a lot of stuff there. So it was really good. Those of you participating, you do have the opportunity to unmute yourself. So if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat, or as I mentioned, you can unmute and ask those questions. I'll go ahead and give a pause right now just to see if we have any come through. Okay, I waited the awkward pause there, and so with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. As I mentioned, the recording will be available here shortly on our website. Again, Leah and Lori, thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to speaking with you and working with you in the future.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.